Hi there, I'm Jeff Walker from Hillcrest Country Club, your beverage manager, and today we're going to mix up a few classic cocktails that you're used to having at the club. We're going to do 4 of those today. We're going to do a classic martini, an old-fashioned, and a Manhattan up, and also a gimlet up. Okay, we're starting out with a classic martini today. Classic martini is made with gin traditionally. I know that a lot of you like a vodka martini, but we're going to stick with the gin since we're going all traditional. And so we fill your shaker with ice. And today we're going to be using Beefeater gin. And I'm fortunate to have a measuring cup here. We're going to use 3 ounces of gin for that. So we got a perfect 3-ounce pour. I'm going to put that into our shaker, and then we're just going to go ahead and shake that up real good. And for the glass, we'll be using a martini glass or stemless, what we call a Cosmo glass. And we're going to just put a little dry vermouth in the bottom of that glass, swirl it up around a bit. If you like your martini dry, you just go without the vermouth. Discard the remainder of the vermouth. Give it one last little shake. Pull the top off. Put your strainer over this. Strain your perfect 3-ounce pour into the martini glass. And then for your garnish, at last, a couple Spanish Queen olives. There's your classic gin martini. Okay, next up we're going to be making a classic old-fashioned, and how we want to start with that is with a little muddle mixture with 1 sugar cube, a slice of orange, and a cherry. And here at the club we use a lot of bean cherry. And then we also want to put a little bit of cherry juice in that, about 1.5 spoons. Along with that, just a couple little dashes of bitters. And then we want to put a good muddle on that sugar and orange and cherry. Get all those flavors blended together there. Now make sure that you have all different kinds of whiskey or your favorite bourbon at home. So that's what you could put into that. Today we're going to be using a Woodford Reserve, and you want to do about 1.5 ounces in there. And last up, you do your ice. Here at the club we use an ice rock. At home you can just use ice cubes. It would be the same thing. You just want to muddle that in just a little bit. Drop your rock inside the cocktail. And lastly, we're going to finish that off with just a little splash of soda. And there's your classic old-fashioned. Next up, we're going to do another classic cocktail. It's just going to be a Manhattan up. And how we start the Manhattan is, again, with the shaker. Put ice in your shaker. And then we're going to go after today's whiskey or bourbon we're using is Buffalo Trace. We're going to do about 2 ounces of that. And then your next ingredient is going to be sweet vermouth, and then we do about 1.5 ounces of that. Now, unlike the martini we did before, instead of shaking that up with the Manhattan, we're going to stir that. Get that vermouth and the bourbon into a nice mixture. Once you get that stirred, Get your strainer and just strain that right into your Cosmo glass. Got the right proportion there. And a very simple garnish for the Manhattan Up is just a simple cherry garnish. There's your classic Manhattan Up. Okay, for our last cocktail, we're going to do a classic Gimlet Up, which is a gin drink. And today for the gin, we're going to be using gin that's really smooth that we have here at the club. It's called Botanist. So you put your ice in the shaker, and then you go with about 1.5 ounces this time. The gin. And then, with that, we're going to squeeze in 1/2 of a fresh lime. So, the last ingredient with that is a couple little dashes of simple syrup, which is basically just sugar and water, just to take a little edge off of the lime. Then we're going to want to shake that up. Nice shake on that. Strain that mixture right into your Cosmo glass. You can see a little bit of that lime color, but not too much. Put a little bit of simple sugar in there to cut the citrus, bring out the flavor of the gin. And with that, we just want either a lime slice or a lime wedge garnish, and there is your classic Gimlet. All right, again, what we made for you today as far as mixology goes is we started with our classic gin martini up. We went into the old-fashioned, muddled together with the orange and the sugar and the bitters, and have your bourbon. And then we had a Manhattan Up, very classic, with sweet vermouth and whatever your favorite whiskey or bourbon is. And then we finished with a gin Gimlet. And now that we're all finished up with the cocktails, my favorite way to end the day is a little bit more simple. I just go with the Coors Banquet. Cheers. Have a great day.